Welcome in to Make Your Money Matter. I'm your host, Barrett. Today on our show, we're going to talk about wealth and worth, really. And we're not just going to talk about it in terms of money. I want to talk about inner wealth and the idea of the placement that we put on it as it relates to our heart, our mind, and then ultimately our bank account. But before we get started, make sure to smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. All right, let's get into it. So friends, as I mentioned, today's gonna be a little philosophical because it's really been on my heart lately, quite honest. And I wanna share with you as I was meeting with clients and discussing worth and wealth. And when we talk about wealth and worth, a lot of times we, especially in our today's society, we marry the two together. Like if you have wealth, then you're worthy. And not to get too deep into this rabbit hole here, but just a quick pause. I wanna be very clear in this first minute of this show today and say that that is very wrong and so inaccurate. I don't even know where to begin with that. But we all, as human beings, we have to have some sort of metric stick, right? We have to use it somehow, some way. And it's just been really exacerbated over the years, thousands of years in our society, to have some metric order to say, okay, well, how do you define worth in terms of a monetary value or a quantitative value? How do you define wealth? And I know I'm going to sound a little hooby-dooby here, if that's even a word or a phrase, or on a soapbox. But worth, friends, comes from within. We know that, but it's hard for us to see sometimes. And the one thing, I love about the past, probably 10, 15 years in particular, maybe it's social media, maybe it's just overall generations aging and just realizing some things. But the one great thing I've noticed, and I've had a lot of conversation with clients about this, is that we're now able to talk about these things a little bit more freely. There's no more like some voodoo kind of thing around it, or some faux pas, because regarding how we feel, what makes us tick, what we're striving for are all important. And if that's, those kind of things, if it's losing our identity in something that we're gaining for or being able to attain something because it's a goal, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Those who seek glory, it's a noble thing. But we have to make sure that we're not wrapped up in it. We lose our identity in it. And if you were to take it all away, as I always share, what would you be? Who would you be? And friends, I don't think we ask that question enough of ourselves. In fact, one of the things I tell my clients often is who you are without anything matters just as much as who you are with everything. Because if you break it down, if you are sad, depressed, all the things that we talk about nowadays, that is really, taking our generation by storm, which is unfortunate. A lot of it has to do with the whole looking over the fence mentality. I see it all the time in my office. They're thinking, well, this person has this person did this, invested in this. Oh, I missed out on that. There's so many things that we feel like we're failing on that we don't give ourselves the chance to actually say, is it something we really wanted in the first place? 9 times out of 10, and this is experience-based and a little bit anecdotal, but 9 times out of 10, I might be being aggressive on that. What I've seen is that the thing that we get sad about or depressed about, whether it relates to our money or something else or something we missed out on, the whole FOMO reality, it isn't something we actually wanted in the first place. I might be speaking to somebody on that today because it's important, right? We may have subliminally thought we did want that because we were trained to think like that. And I can prove this, right? Sometimes, and here's how I bring this up, right? So think back to your last major purchase, all right? That you saved for maybe, or maybe you just splurged on, all right? Maybe you didn't save and you just went out and over your skis and just bought it, all right? It happens all the time. Maybe it was a new phone. Maybe it was a new car. Maybe it was the house in the neighborhood that you thought you wanted and really never thought you could get into. Maybe it was the watch or the jewelry or the shoes, whatever it might have been. Think about that. Think about your last purchase for you. And then think about the one before that in the last maybe 2 or 3. I'm bringing this up because likely, let's say you bought that last one a month ago or 2 months ago. My question to you is this: do you place the same value, the same excitement, the same worth to that thing you did 6 months ago as you do now? Odds are you don't. That should say something to you. We talk about it enough. I remember when I got the new iPhone. This was like a year ago, right? I don't really get new phones. I spent a couple years and I got one. I was like, that was pretty exciting for like a day. And then it got old, right? Because it was a material good. It had no worth to me other than that first hour or two of enjoyment. And so when we talk about worth and we talk about, where you are in this world, it really comes from within. Inner worth is probably the most important thing we can invest in. Now, I know I'm a financial advisor. I know I talk about investments, and I know this has nothing to do with that per se, but it does. Now, I share a lot on my show and in my practice that time is one of the things that matters most when it comes to your investing life, because over the process, the reason why it's so important, not to just the discipline and everything else, but you get to know who you are. So not only, making more zeros, if you want to call it that, in your bank account or your brokerage account by investing over time, being consistent, being disciplined, all the things I talk about and matter, but you are also able to spend that time to learn who you are. Because investing in yourself, just the same by you putting, money away today, finding an advisor, working through investments and saving, is really investing in yourself tomorrow. But if we get too lost in our tomorrow self, then we're unhappy in our present self. And so when you think about that, and we want to relate in this bridge here really between our money, our bank account, our brokerage account, and who we are on a daily basis, friends, there is a wall between the two. And really, I don't think we shouldn't define one or the other. And one of the stories, and you might have heard this before, but I've always loved this story. And to me, it sums up value and worth and where we place those things in our life. So the story goes, as a father was about to die, he was on his deathbed, and he had said to his son, here's a watch that your grandfather gave me, and I want to pass it to you. It's almost 200 years old, and I want you to do this. I want you to go to the jewelry store downtown. Tell them that you want to sell it and see how much they offer you. So the son was a good son and did it, went to the jewelry store, came back to the father, kind of sad, and said, hey, they offered $150 because it's too old. So the father said, I want you to go to the pawn shop. So the son did, went to the pawn shop, came back to the father and said, hey, the pawn shop only offered $10 because it looks so worn out. The father then asked the son to go to the museum and show them the watch. So he went to the museum, came back to the father all giddy. He goes, Father, the curator at the museum offered $500,000 for this very rare piece, this watch, to be included in their precious antique collections. And the father said to the son, I wanted to teach you that the right place values you in the right way. And I think for all of us out there, a story is really a good analogy of what we all seek. And I can only speak this as a man with a father who I deeply admire. And we all want this. And as a father myself currently, right, to my son who is 8, we want to make sure we have these pieces in place to help teach them through analogies, through stories, through life experiences. Because I'll say this, the most important things in life are caught, not taught. I want to say that again. The most important things in life, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever your world is, whatever your relationship status is, I don't care if you're married, kids, doesn't matter, right? You have importance in this world, okay? And the most important things that you can teach, whether from experience or anecdotally, are caught, not taught. So it's what you do, basically how you're living versus what you're saying, right? Actions, words, we all know this. So my question to you is this, are you living in the present? Are you saving for tomorrow? You should be doing both, right? Are you doing all the right things? Because guess what? If you have kids like I do, right? They see that. You may not think they do, but the kids do. So the right place values you in the right way. So don't find yourself, in the wrong place and then get angry if you're not valued. Those that know your value, right? Including yourself, most importantly, because you have to know your own value, but those who see that know and appreciate you. So friends, don't stay in a place where nobody sees your value, whether it's work-related, group-related, friendship-related, status, whatever it is, right? And don't go into a place if you don't know your own value, because before you can be good at anything, in my opinion, this is my humble opinion, before you can be good at anything, you have to know what you're going for and who you are, because really it'll help you in the hard times. And the same is true of your money. You have to know and define where you're going with your money, basically why you are doing it. You've heard me say this before on all my shows. You need to know why you are doing what you are doing when it comes to your money, right? The why is the most important part, honestly. I would even, it's almost more than the who, what, where, and why. The why is more important than the who. Now, I'm a big believer in the who, as I'm saying this whole episode, right? Knowing your worth, who, but the why is really important. And I'll end today's show on this, right? Why you are doing whatever it is you're doing with your money, that question, then, I'll also ask you, do you know who you are in the process, right? Don't define yourself like I'm Brad, I'm a financial advisor, I'm a husband, I'm a father. Those are all things that I am. And I'm very proud of those things. I take great pride in those aspects of my life. I work very hard at those things. But who I am, as I've learned, is someone who's loving, someone who's caring, someone who's empathetic, someone who wants greatness and wants to shoot for glory and help people along the way, but I won't step on anybody to do it. I found out these things myself being on this earth for 37 years. I've been an advisor for nearly 2 decades now, believe it or not. And I've done this, ever since I can remember. And I found, I found out along the way on all the missteps, right? You learn more about your missteps, friends, know that, especially when it comes to your money or anything like that, that those things help define who you are. Now, I know I'm being a little philosophical on you today, but understanding that allows you to be really better yourself, especially in the hard times, and really see through the hard times, because the most certain thing in life is there will be uncertainty. But being prepared for those times matters. Finding your worth, with or without money, is important. It matters. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that today. If you did, make sure to subscribe to our show so you don't miss a single episode. And always remember to make your money matter.